Blog Talk Radio.
This is Recovery Radio Fresno with Louis Angel. Today we got a few very special guests on the line today. We have Jeffrey Smith from Dunamis, who is an addiction specialist, and also Fred Evans from Fresno, California, who is also an addiction specialist. I would like to welcome you both to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. So today what we're going to be talking about on our show is about conflict resolution. You know, not all of us have good problem-solving skills, and sometimes we're quick to react on our emotions, and it only makes the problem worse. So today we're going to explore how dealing with conflict in many different ways can help us to create a better solution. So I would like to invite Jeffrey to lead our show.
Well, thank you very much, Louis. I appreciate it. First, let's start off with just a brief overview of what conflict is. Conflict is, first of all, a normal experience that all human beings will have on a regular basis. This is actually an important thing to try and understand, because sometimes in various situations we feel like the conflict or the problem that we have is unique to us, and if it's unique to us, that must make us different or weird or somehow not normal. And that's just not the case. Conflict is a very normal human response to sometimes not getting what we want, to having our feelings hurt, and things of that nature. So what we want to do today is I want to briefly give you an understanding of what some of the principles of conflict are, restorative justice, and then we're going to chat a little bit about some of our experiences in dealing with conflict. So, again, my name is Jeffrey Smith, and I work at Dunamis, Inc., and we do outpatient drug alcohol treatment, mental health services, and conflict counseling. And when I have clients who come in who have conflict problems, one of the first things I tell them is that conflict presents both danger and opportunity. The reason that conflict presents a danger is because it has the ability to damage or destroy relationships. It's an opportunity because it gives us an opportunity to increase the overall health of our relationship by constructively and positively dealing with whatever conflict or problem that exists. One of the ways that we deal with conflict, particularly as it relates to relationship problems, is through what we call restorative justice, which has three basic principles. The first principle of restorative justice is mutual recognition of the problem or conflict. If Louis and I have a problem, or if I have a problem with Louis, and I have a problem, but he doesn't see the same issue as the problem, well, we don't have a mutual recognition of the problem or conflict. We can't move on to the next stage of making things right without recognizing together that there is a problem. Once we mutually recognize that there is a problem or a conflict, the second step is what we call making things as right as possible. The reason we phrase it this way is because not every wrong can be made perfectly right again. I'll give you an example. Say somebody steals your digital camera, and then they sell your digital camera, and the person who buys that digital camera erases all the pictures on it. Well, you're not be able to get back those pictures, but you will be able to make things somewhat right by maybe receiving an apology, maybe getting it replaced, or receiving money to have it replaced. But it's not going to be made perfect because those pictures are now gone. The third step in the restorative justice process is clarifying future intentions. Once you've mutually recognized that there is a problem or a conflict and you've worked to make things as right as you possibly can, then it's important to clarify your future relationship. You know, if I steal Louis's camera and we recognize that that's a problem and we make things as right as we can, well, he may not want to lend me his camera ever again, and that might be a boundary that he sets for himself and me in the clarifying future intentions part of the process. And along the way, one of the things that's really important to understand as well is that there's a principle called separating the people from the problem. If I see Lewis as the problem, then the only solution is for Lewis to go or for me to go. What we want to be able to do is we want to be able to take the conflict or the problem and separate it from the relationship. One of the things that happens, especially as it relates to recovery from some kind of substance abuse addiction, is that all of the conflicts and problems that we were running away from or masking through substance abuse come back to us in our sobriety. And sometimes that can be very overwhelming in terms of how do we deal with that. We don't have the tools to cope or deal with the conflict and the problems that exist that we have been running away from or masking through substance abuse. So what I'd like to do for the next little bit is kind of do a little round table here with Fred and with Lewis, and if you guys could share maybe a story or two of how conflict, how you've experienced a situation of conflict, an experience of conflict that has maybe been healthy, maybe been unhealthy, ways that maybe you see how you intuitively used some of these principles and how these principles might in the future be helpful for you. Fred?
Oh, okay. I just want to mirror a little bit of what you said. Mine's Fred Evans. I'm a counselor at the Post-Conviction Drug Court, West Care. I'm a certified addictions treatment counselor, too. I agree with you on the people who see their problems being uniquely their own. This is called being terminally unique. Terminal being the operative word. Terminal meaning that it could be, in some cases, deadly or extremely harmful. So it's terminally unique. Okay? I am more of a proponent of cognitive behavioral therapy kind of approaches to conflict resolution, in that the person who has experienced the conflict as a resolution takes independent responsibility for the problem. That is, they examine their own behavior and how that contributed to the problem, and how their behavior either contributed to the problem or how they can extricate themselves from the problem. So in a cognitive behavioral sense, what we would do is try to examine what our thoughts were, then what our feelings were, and then what our behaviors are. And in that way, we can take ownership of the problem. Because I'm like you, I believe that conflict, drama, chaos is a natural part of the recovery process. As an addictions treatment counselor, I don't shy away from the conflict, drama, and chaos. It's to be embraced, and the problems dealt with, talked about, and a successful resolution brought about while in the group setting or an individual setting. This teaches the addicted person how to resolve conflict or practice to resolve conflict in a much better way, in a much more productive and healthy way. So I think that what you're saying is correct, but I work more towards the conflict or the cognitive behavioral therapy, understanding that emotion, anger, frustration, I work out the four basic emotions of happy, sad, angry, fearful. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad and fearful. It's what you do with those emotions and how the actions that you're going to take with them. Okay, many times the addict or alcoholic, the chronic, severe addict or alcoholic is, like you said, masking problems and using drugs or alcohol to avoid either dealing with it or thinking about it. So we need to try and help them understand that it's okay to feel the way they're feeling. It's okay to be upset or be angry. Talk about it, overcome it, and then learn how to constructively deal with it, and deal with it in a way that enhances or promotes their recovery or keeps them sober and clean. So I think it's for me, it's more of a individual thing. And then when I say individual, it's not about conflict within the individual. It's about examining and accepting, surrendering to the fact that they do feel the way they do and that it's okay. And that's the way I work.
If I may, Fred, it sounds to me like what you're saying is there's a difference between therapy aspect of dealing with your own feelings and dealing with your own hurts and dealing with your own boundary issues, and then dealing with conflict itself. Would that be an accurate statement?
Well, I think I don't think there's a difference in dealing with it. I think what I'm trying to say is taking ownership doesn't excuse it or bring fault. To determine fault, especially within yourself, is kind of judgmental and builds resentments. And once you judge yourself and build those resentments, then it's just a quick road back out to using drugs again, because you're just right back where you started from. What I'm saying is learning to accept that it's okay to feel the way you feel. Just change the actions that you take on your feelings. If, like you were saying, somebody steals your camera, geez, I would be a little upset if somebody stole my camera too. Okay? Mm-hmm. But my thought is, geez, I'm angry that they stole my camera. Okay, so I recognize that I'm angry. It's okay for me to be angry. What do I do with the anger? My thought is, I'm angry that they stole my camera. My feeling is that I'm angry. Then what's the outcome? Do I chase him down in the street and beat him up? Take the camera back? Do I confront him in a way that's not going to produce a positive outcome? No, probably not. Do I go out and use drugs again because now I'm all resentful and hurt and that somebody stole my camera? No. What are my possibilities here? What are the outcomes? The outcome is that, okay, I say, it's just a camera. It means a lot to me. I understand that it means a lot to me. I accept that, but it's just a camera. Okay, go get another one. You see what I'm saying?
That's where a lot of people have difficulty is that just saying it's just a camera and not just letting go is where the conflict really happens, because then they start to rationalize their decision on why they want to go beat somebody down over the camera.
Yeah, do what they say. Do what they say. Flip the script. Play the tape out. You go and confront the person took the camera. What's going to happen? Hey, buddy, you stole my camera. Either you're going to get punched or you're going to punch them. It's not really going to produce a great result, right?
Oh, yeah.
What is healthier for your recovery? I know it's hard to really sit there and say, look, I'm not going to let this guy take my camera and get away with it. Okay, well, find another way of handling it rather than confrontation. And confrontation that builds resentments, who builds conflict and drama, which leads to resentments, which then leads you to going out and using drugs again.
Well, one of the things that I as I'm listening to you, a couple of things occur to me. The first thing is that we need to make the differentiation between what it means to pass judgment and what it means to make judgments. You talked about judging, whether it's self or others. We're not in a position, in this life or the next, to pass judgment on somebody. But we are in a position to make judgment calls. We make judgments every day. We encourage people to make the judgment that it is unhealthy to use cocaine, for example, right? That is a judgment that we're making, and we try to encourage a somewhat congruent prioritization of certain values and certain behaviors. As it relates to problem solving and resolving conflict, one of the things that I think I'm trying to get at too here is that as you go through that process and as you begin to complete that process, and you have things in their proper priorities, in their proper place, and you understand the difference between passing judgment, making judgment, for example, when you go back out into independent living, say you go back out and you get a girlfriend or you get a wife and you have a relationship now, and that relationship is going to have some conflict in it, because all relationships do. What's my choice? Now I have information, and I get to use that information, or I get to not use that information. And one of the goals in conflict resolution is to give people tools so that when they have the opportunity to actually sit down and solve a problem, they know how to do it.
Yeah, I agree with you completely.
Obviously, sometimes there's going to be situations where avoiding the conflict is more healthy than engaging the conflict for whatever reason, right? There are some times when engaging the conflict it has more potential value for the relationship than withdrawing from the conflict.